I'm Ed Daig at the News Channel 13 studio as this area continues to react to the horrific events of this day. Also, as we begin to understand how we can respond, the government and service institutions in the area beginning to get a comprehensive picture of what will be needed, what they will be able to contribute to the effort in New York City. I can also tell you there's a great deal of enhanced security in the area. An example, all Amtrak movement south of Albany has been stopped, but at the Amtrak station in Rensselaer right now, Josh EINIGER is standing by. Apparently an Amtrak train has come into the station and it is being searched. Give you some idea of what security is like. Josh, are you there at the Amtrak station?
I am here at, the first thing I'll tell you is that security is even tighter now than it was that we knew just a few minutes ago. We are told that all traffic into and out of this train station here in Rensselaer is being canceled, as being held for the time being. That is, once a couple of trains have the chance to pull into the station. The train you see right behind me, I believe, is train 448, which is en route from Chicago to Boston. It was scheduled to arrive here around 11:55. And it just pulled into the station a few minutes ago. Now, we did see a police officer with a dog, at least one police officer canine unit get onto that train, and we're told they're going to be searching all the passengers there, checking all passengers and their tickets, making sure that they match up, and checking all bags, making sure that they match up with passengers. This is a multi-jurisdictional effort. It is Albany and Rensselaer police departments that are involved in this. We're told that there is no specific threat here, that there is nothing in particular that they're looking for, that this is just essentially a standard security operation in the wake of any kind of terrorist terrorist attack pretty much anywhere in the country, and we're told that this is something that Amtrak requests and is doing all over the country. We're also told that a train from New York's Penn Station, the last train to depart Penn Station for the Albany area this morning, was stopped in Rhinecliff for quite a bit of time. That is train number 69, and we just heard that it departed Rhinecliff for Albany and is expected to arrive here at around 1:30. We also heard that a train number 284, which left here sometime this morning for New York, has been turned around and is in the process of returning here to the station here in Rensselaer. That is what we have going on right here. We have Rensselaer and Albany police officers with dogs. They're going to offload that train at some point, and they're going to be very closely checking all the passengers on that train and making sure that they match up with their tickets and they match up with their luggage. And then this is pretty much the end of the line for every train coming into the Albany area for at least the foreseeable future.
So we know that all trains south have been stopped, but they won't even allow that train to continue on toward Boston.
Exactly. This train has nothing to do with New York. It's Chicago to Boston. But we're being told right now that all Amtrak services, at least into this train station, are being stopped for the time being.
Are there a lot of people there who were expecting to board trains for New York City?
Not a terribly large number of people. There was a train that was scheduled to depart for New York, I guess maybe about an hour ago. That was canceled. There is not a terribly large crowd here at the station. Almost as much law enforcement presence here as there are actual passengers or people. The only other thing is people who'll be meeting people who are arriving from either Chicago or on this train that just departed from New York. It departed this morning sometime at around 10 maybe and was expected in just before noon.
Josh, how do people look? Because people around here are walking around with really a sort of stunned expression. Are you getting anger yet, or is it still not quite sinking in?
It started to sink in, I think, here on the platform when we actually set up our equipment when our live truck arrived and we put up our monitor. A couple of people here on the platform just stood around watching the NBC programming we've been airing for the duration of the morning, and people are just shocked. They're speechless. I mean, what can you say? It makes you speechless.
Josh EINIGER at the train station at Rensselaer, where, as you saw, they are checking everyone on board the train. They're looking at identification and at tickets. They are not going to allow any train to proceed out of Albany, apparently, at the moment. The last train out of Albany for New York City was turned around at Rhinebeck, is now apparently headed back to Albany. The airport is closed as well. All airports across this country are closed. What can you do? You can say a prayer, as the Cardinal suggested. You might also consider giving blood. There are a lot of people doing that at the moment. The Red Cross Blood Center on Everett Road is open. You could stop by. There is a line, I can tell you that, and you will have to wait. In fact, we have information that the 800 number for Red Cross is out of service, but we do have a Red Cross spokesman on tape and give you some indication of what the Red Cross can do and perhaps how you can assist them. Here's the Red Cross.
Disaster that we normally respond to that affects people's homes. These are offices and businesses businesses, obviously. But there are families that are going to be devastated by this with injured victims, missing people. Fatalities are undoubtedly going to be an issue. The Red Cross has mental health workers who can assist in that process. We'll be supporting the relief workers on the scene. And then there will be, I'm sure, many months, even years worth of follow-up work here. The Red Cross has been working in Oklahoma City following that bombing for many years, working with the victims who were affected in that incident. I expect this will be similar.
What do people here in the capital region do if they, I mean, obviously, you know, with this, that being the state capital and the World Trade Center being such a big state office building, what should people here be doing right now?
Well, the first thing we'd ask people to do is try to be calm. We don't have information. No one has information at the moment about people who have been affected. We will gather that information, and the authorities will be dispensing that information as soon as they can. The second thing is just, I think, to think good thoughts and to offer their prayers for the victims of this disaster. And as the next few hours unfold, we may find out that there are other needs that people can help with. But for the moment, we're just trying to sort out what's happened this morning.
Red Cross spokesman in Albany doing what most of us are trying to do, still trying to sort out and see what is needed. You did hear earlier, though, on NBC a call for 80,000 units of blood. The Red Cross preparing to send those to the city. Obviously, blood is needed. The Everett Road Center is the Red Cross Center in Albany. They are open today. If you would like to give blood, stop by. You will stand in line a while, but it is probably the only constructive thing you can do at the moment to help out. We have heard from most of the government leaders. We know that Mike McNulty is okay in Washington and that John Sweeney is okay. The governor, who does have an office in the World Trade Center, or did have an office that was moved out, is fine. He was not at the office this morning. He is in New York City. There has been some scaling down of state workforce in Albany. They have sent non-essential employees home. BENITA ZAHN is standing by live at the Capitol. In fact, where for a while, BENITA, there was some thinking, at least, because at one point state police told me they were going to do it. They were thinking of evacuating the Capitol and all state offices. They're now not going to do that.
No, in fact, it's what they're calling non-essential personnel who've been asked to go home. And among some of the workers, they're trying to figure out what all that means. But I can tell you that people here are amazed. They are shocked. There are a number of people who are close to tears. I just want you to take a little look off to the side here. It's rare. I don't remember the last time we saw state police standing in front of the Capitol, protecting, if you will, the state Capitol, and we're on the side that overlooks State Street. If you were to walk around the Capitol, you would see more state police officers as well. So that is a very big change from what is the norm here as well. People were allowed to leave at about noon. They started leaving, and you know, Ed, it's interesting. You can see some pictures, and unfortunately we had a little technical problem. The pictures will jump for you, but everybody lined up very orderly. They left from the Capitol. They also left from the Alfred E. Smith building. And somebody must have put a call into the bus company as well, because the buses arrived quickly. It was orderly. But normally if we show up to talk to folks about any kind of event, they're happy to comment. Today, they were reluctant to comment. People are fearful, Ed. One fellow said to me that he was planning to go home to pray for those who have been lost, those who have lost loved ones, and for our political leaders as well, and he suggested that's what we should all be doing. Another young woman I spoke to, Ed, was very concerned. She has an uncle who works at the World Trade Center. The family has not been able to get a hold of him. Many of the people, as you know, who work for the state, they go down to New York City for business. One worker was telling me she works for social services. They had a call. One of their, two actually, of their coworkers were in Brooklyn, and they were able to watch the smoke billow, and it was a horrifying experience for them. Someone else told me, Ed, that a state education employee practically flew out of the building because his daughter was down at ground zero. So a real sense of shock, amazement, but an eerie calm almost, if I could describe it that way.
No anger yet, which is interesting.
No, absolutely no anger, except a sense of, you know, a couple of people have said, we've got to go get them. We've got to go get them.
And I eventually here we'll read a statement from John Sweeney that kind of echoes that. Let me ask you, as our medical reporter, as you know, Albany Medical Center is a designated backup hospital. What is likely to happen there? Would the most least severely injured be likely those sent to Albany?
In general, Ed, when they do what they call triage, the people who are most severely injured will get the immediate attention at ground zero or as close to it. Then they start weaning and weeding out from there. So one would think that those who could survive the trip up here, perhaps those less injured, would in fact make it here. I should also tell you, I was talking with somebody this morning from the Albany Preparedness Program, and the name changes, so I may not have it exact. They have been practicing for just such an event. Some of the people who were involved here, who had gone out to Oklahoma City, were on that task force. And I spoke with one of them this morning. They have, as far as I know, they were implementing that, but they've been planning just in case something horrible, I mean, it's unimaginable, would happen. So they were ready, and they did have a game plan to go to.
Would you guess that medical personnel from this area would go to New York City, or would they stay here and patients be brought up? We've never had anything quite like this. I don't know if anybody can answer that.
You know, in New York City, they are asking that every medical personnel make themselves available at hospitals if you're not on duty to go in. I would imagine there is a sense of that here. If they need, they probably, Ed, and I'm just talking off the top of my head, they probably have a list of people who are ready and willing to go to New York City to help out.
We know the Red Cross locally sent 2 down already, and there probably will be more going down. 80,000 units of blood, the Red Cross sending into New York City. That's a huge dent in our supply.
Yeah, and what that means, Ed, is that all the blood that is currently ready to go, all the blood that's been collected over the last couple of days and has been screened and processed, that's what's going to be shipped right there. The network throughout the Northeast is very tight. They will know exactly where their supplies are. All that blood will go. Now the concern comes 2-3 days down the road, because now there's nothing in reserve. That's why it's so important that people show up today, because, you know, life's going to go on. And there will be accidents, and people will need that blood. And, you know, this is the first round of surgeries.
Right.
There will be second and third. So that's why it's so important, because whatever's on the shelf, that's going now.
BENITA ZAHN at the state capitol on top of things there. Thank you very much, BENITA. Some other things I can tell you. I know that some colony EMS workers are en route to New York City now. That, of course, will be the first personnel that would be needed, emergency workers, to try to clear away the debris and get to survivors who are buried there. I can also tell you that the election today, the primary election, is now officially off. It, of course, was canceled in New York City earlier. Now the State Board of Elections says this primary election across New York State is off. I've talked to the Board of Elections. They have no idea what they're going to do, when they will rerun it. It obviously has to be run at some point soon. There are some school closings as well. We will put those at the bottom of the screen the minute we rejoin network. What have I forgotten? I wanted to read you this comment here from John Sweeney, because I've been asking about anger because there is anger in John Sweeney's initial release. He first says that he offers his prayers and heartfelt sympathies to the families of the innocent victims lost in this unimaginable tragedy. But then Congressman Sweeney says that he is left with the undeniable conclusion that these cowardly acts must be answered with the full force and resources of this nation, the first indication of the kind of anger that is going to flow after this. Congressman Mike McGaldy has also spoken to us. He is okay. We therefore know of no one in this immediate area who is a victim of these tragic events today. I'm sure there will be. The Red Cross at some point hopes to set up a toll-free number in which they will be able to distribute information about victims and survivors in New York City. That probably is some time away. So that's our report from now. Again, if there is something that you feel you must do, probably our only suggestion at the moment is to go stand in line at the Everett Road facility of the Red Cross and give blood and to say prayers for those in New York City. We are here. We will continue to monitor the area reaction and tell you how we will respond. But for the moment, we'll send you back to network coverage now, and we will begin then running school closings at the bottom of the screen. We'll be here all afternoon to update you. That's it for now. Thank you.